Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 7th of June. So last week it was the US employment numbers and non-farm payroll numbers which were clearly in focus. This week, well, we start off the week with relatively little news, which isn't going to help the already technically looking battle bruised, or volatility bruised I should say, markets that have been left from last week. So let's take a look at a few markets here that we're keeping a close eye on and some of the opportunities we're potentially looking at for trading opportunities. So if we come across to the US indices, first of all, these markets have managed to hold up their trends fairly well, and you can see that here on the Dow, this is the Dow futures contract, in early trade this week we've seen the market sort of break through the 34,650 level, clearly getting through there, and now the market sort of retested that in early trade this morning. The path of least resistance certainly looks long for the Dow, with possibly looking for targets areas around 34,800, above there looking for possibly that 35,000 level to be retested as well. The story is pretty much the same if we come across all of the US indices. So if we have a look at the S&Ps, for example, again we can see that these markets are relatively strong. We don't really sort of see as clean a market structure on the S&Ps as we have on the Dow, but again the path of least resistance clearly to the long side. And I think one of the more positive markets here, or certainly one of the more stronger markets, has been the Nasdaq. And taking a look at the Nasdaq future, we can see that the market has managed to recover quite a bit of lost ground and actually started to break through this sort of 13,700, 750 level, where we've had the last area of previous support and resistance. If we take a look at this on the slightly lower time frames, you can see that now the market's managed to get through there and sort of pulling back into this sort of 4 hour 13,700. If we can get back into here, if the market does find support here, then that's going to bode well for continued higher prices. I've got sort of target levels or trading window levels up to around 13,800, just above there, and 13,900 area. So if we come down to commodities, I think one of the more interesting commodities at the moment is oil. Now oil has been well documented to test that $70 level, and in fact it has tested $70 just recently. Trend structures are looking fairly reasonable on this market compared to a lot of the other commodities like the metals. You can see on the 4 hour time frame the market is back into the moving average zone where the market has found key support before. One thing to bear in mind though is that, as I said, the market has just recently tested 70. Looks like we may well get another retest around that area, but there is some signs here of weakness starting to come in and starting to creep into these trends. So again, slightly cautious here, but slightly cautious to the long side on oil is one of the markets that we're keeping an eye on coming into the beginning of this week. So coming across to the currency markets, I suppose one of the big questions is around the dollar. Is the dollar going to continue to see strength? Are we going to see move higher in the dollar, or is the dollar going to eventually roll over and break through 90 and kiss goodbye to it? I think certainly for the medium term we may well see some consolidation around the levels where the market is, and possibly some more strength coming into it, and possibly sort of trading within a channel. So that means that markets like dollar Swiss could benefit from that. And if we just take a look at this from a broader picture, the market is around a key level of 9,000, and the big question is 9,000 going to is that going to be a resistance level for the market, or are we going to see prices bounce off here and move higher? If we take a look at dollar Swiss on the weekly chart, you can see that the market is into a key sort of area, and even looking at chart patterns here, we've got possibly maybe the formation of, or possible formation of, a inverted heads and shoulders coming in, certainly if the market finds support here. Now at the moment we're seeing strength in the US dollar. If we see that strength continue, then that's likely to help this price pattern sort of play out, and it's a popular price pattern, and it sort of indicates maybe a bounce and a push to the high side. If we just come down the time frames and take a look at this on the lower time frames, on the daily time frame, you can see that the market has now rolled over. We've got our decisive low, we've got a lower high, we've got a higher low, and now we've got a higher high. So we've got the structure here of trend direction starting to turn around. We don't have the geometry yet on this time frame, but certainly the indicators here indicating that we've got strong momentum or positive momentum sort of pushing to the long side, and there's a bit of a trading window here developing. You can see 9,000, the level through here has been previous support and resistance. I'll just sort of zoom back on this. You can see that there's been previous support and resistance around that key level of 9,000. The next level I've got here is around 9,475, so almost 475 pips to the high side there. You've got another structure point too. So you've got a trading window long, and things are starting to indicate, possibly starting to indicate, that we might start to get a bit of strength in the dollar and maybe a push here, and this may well help this market move and complete that trading window. If we come down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see our 9,000 level been well tested in support and resistance. You can see the market's underneath it at the moment, and this price action certainly doesn't look particularly clean at this moment in time, but we have got higher lows. So higher lows forming through here. If this area here does form a higher low, then again we see push higher. That's going to push through 9,000. We could be looking for our level up here around 9,050 to be retested, and then we've got further trading windows up here towards that sort of 91 price point. So again, quite liking the structure here on dollar Swiss if we can start to see continued strength in that US dollar in early trade. The lower time frames again are kind of supporting a bit of a turnaround here as well. You can see that we've got sort of tight consolidations on these lower time frames. If we have a look at this on the 60-minute chart, for example, here's our 9,000 level. We can see that there's some clear support underneath price, although 9,000 is turning out to be a little bit of a battle at this moment in time. Above this area is really where things start to get a bit interesting. So there's a few markets there that we're keeping a close eye on coming into the beginning of this week. I certainly hope it helps, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.